There is this massive looming cloud of anxiety when it comes to the GCSE English Literature Poetry comparison, specifically the AQA Poetry Anthology. Well, in this explainer, we are tackling that head on. We're cutting through all the noise and conflicting advice to give you the definitive, foolproof study guide. The goal? Maximizing your marks. Let's get right into it. Seriously, how do you compare two insanely dense poems in under an hour without just panicking? If you scroll through Reddit, you see so much student angst about this, opening the paper, staring at the poem, and literally just freezing up. But here's the thing. Looking at examiner reports and top-tier frameworks, maximizing your marks is entirely predictable. It isn't magic, guys. It's just strategy. So here is our battle plan for exam day. We've got 5 steps. 1. Decoding the exam question. 2. Analyzing the poems using the SMILE method. 3. Structuring the perfect essay. 4. A super strict 30-minute exam plan. And 5. The secrets to getting maximum marks. Okay, starting with part 1, decoding the exam question. This is all about setting your foundation. Looking at the suggested order of operations from Save My Exams, step 1 is obvious, right? Look at the question carefully. But step 2, this is where so many students mess up. You absolutely must pick your second poem based purely on the theme, whether that's power, conflict, whatever. Do not just pick the one you happen to have memorized the best. Only after you've locked in that thematic match do you move to step 3 and start analyzing the printed poem. And looking at this really demystifies how you're actually graded. If you want top marks, you just need to hit these assessment objectives, or AOs. AO1 is your clear argument and pulling quotes from both poems. AO2 is diving into the poet's methods and language. And AO3, that's bringing in the context and perspectives. Consistently hit AO1, AO2, and AO3, and you are literally handing the examiners exactly what they're begging for. Right, let's move to section 2, analyzing those poems with SMILE. This is how you unlock any text. The SMILE technique is a lifesaver here. S is for structure. Are we looking at neat, rigid stanzas or just a chaotic block of text? M is meaning, as in, what is the big overarching idea? I is imagery, your metaphors and personification. L stands for language and those really specific, deliberate word choices. And E? Well, E is where the highest marks are hiding. That stands for the effect on the reader. How does this poem actually make you feel? Evaluate all of those and you won't miss a thing. To actually execute this, there's a great piece of advice from Lawn Manor Academy. They say you should literally slash your poem at the full stops. Read it in units of meaning, rather than getting trapped by where the lines break. Oh, and remember the ultimate golden rule. Explain, do not just spot. Just pointing out a simile gets you, a base level mark, but explaining why the poet used that simile and how it impacts the reader, that is what gets you the top grade. Moving right along to section 3, structuring the perfect essay. You need a flawless blueprint for this. And that blueprint all starts with the thesis statement. This is the absolute anchor of your entire essay. It needs to be a short, punchy 1 to 2 sentence summary in your intro. Make sure you include the exact words from the prompt, mention both poems by name, and clearly state the poet's main messages. Always write this in the third person. Don't say, I think this means. Say, both poets present. It needs to be a clear, conceptualized idea. To keep your body paragraphs tight, you've got to lean heavily on the Peel framework. Start with your point, the main idea answering the question. Back it up with evidence, meaning short, snappy quotes. Then, explain what the quote actually means and shows. And crucially, link it. Connect it right back to the question or compare it directly to the other poem. Doing this guarantees a super focused analysis every single time. Now here is a massive cheat code for your comparisons. A weak transition looks something like this. Armitage presents the relationship. See how disconnected that feels? But a linked transition that looks like this. Just as Shelley critiques human power, so too does Darker. Boom. Using phrases like just as, so too instantly elevates your comparative flow. It literally forces you to compare, which is exactly what you're being graded on. Okay, section 4, the 30-minute exam plan, because in that exam hall, time is absolutely everything. H&L Tutors recommends this incredibly strict timeline, and honestly, you should probably memorize this. Give yourself 3 minutes for your introduction. Then dedicate exactly 18 minutes to your PEEL paragraphs. That's 6 minutes for paragraph 1, 6 for paragraph 2, and 6 for paragraph 3. Finally, wrap the whole thing up with a sharp 3-minute conclusion. Sticking to this rhythm stops you from rambling and guarantees a perfectly balanced essay. And what exactly are you doing in those middle 18 minutes? Well, paragraph 1 should focus purely on how the theme is shown in both poems. Paragraph 2 dives deep into the structure and the tone, and paragraph 3 brings in the context and the poet's motives. By giving each paragraph a highly specific angle, you hit language, structure, and context without even breaking a sweat. Then, you hit those final 3 minutes for the conclusion. Keep it incredibly brief. We are talking 2, maybe 3 sentences max. Summarize the main proof of your thesis, state one overarching similarity and one overarching difference. That's it. Do not fall into the trap of repeating all the points you just made. Just summarize your findings, tie a neat bow on it, and get out of there.
All right, our final section, part 5, secrets to maximum marks. This is the secret sauce.
Check out this hard-hitting warning straight from the WJEC Examiner's Report. They noted that a substantial minority lost marks by not comparing the poems. Think about that. You could write the most brilliant, insightful analysis of a single poem the world has ever seen, but it means absolutely nothing if you forget to compare the two texts. The comparison is heavily weighted, so whatever you do, don't fall into that trap. The examiner reports also reveal exactly what the top-tier students are doing differently. First, they track through the extracts and poems chronologically, tracing how a feeling or idea develops from the very first line to the very last. And second, they eagerly explore the subtext and imagery. They aren't just taking the poem literally, they're reading between the lines and wrestling with those deeper symbolic meanings. Now, let's actually bust a pretty major myth here. A lot of you might have been taught to always include a counter-argument, starting a paragraph with, "on the other hand." But Save My Exams points out that examiners actually find forced counter-arguments or exhaustive lists of every single similarity and difference totally unhelpful. It just wastes your precious time. Focus only on the most relevant, insightful comparisons.
And to really push your essay over the edge, arm yourself with this high-level vocabulary. For contrast, swap in words like whereas or conversely. For similarities, try likewise or similarly. And when you're digging into form and structure, drop in terms like enjambment, caesura, volta, or meter. Using these words makes your analysis sound incredibly authoritative.
So look, we've decoded the question, handed you the frameworks, mapped out your time, and revealed the examiner's ultimate secrets. Now the choice is really up to you. Are you going to let the poetry anthology overwhelm you? Or will you use these cheat codes to realize that a poem is just a puzzle waiting to be solved? Step into that exam hall, command your top grade, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.